It's February 13th, 2026, Friday the 13th. Welcome to episode 191 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, Down Under heads to Alameda. The city pumps the brakes on a potential Tesla purchase. A city council preview. The Oakland-Alameda Access Project gets a little easier. The former rear commodore of the Ballina Bay Yacht Club in trouble. AFD, APD, and Animal Control all keeping busy. A tally on the winter birds. And lots to do this Valentine's Day weekend. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story. In a Facebook post late Thursday afternoon, the city announced that the Oakland Roots Oakland Soul Training Facility has been selected as the official World Cup base camp training site for the Australian Socceroos, the Aussie national team. According to the city, Australia is set to take on the UEFA Path C winner in Vancouver on June 13th, then face the U.S. men's national team in Seattle on June 19th, before returning to the Bay Area to close out their group against Paraguay on June 25th in Santa Clara. On their website, the Australian national team's coach Tony Popovic said, quote, "The facility is elite and the training pitches are fantastic. The local community, including everyone at the Oakland Roots and Soul Soccer Club, has been very accommodating and a pleasure to work with." End quote. You can find full details at the Australian national team's website, socceroos.com.au. That's SOCCEROOS.com.au. As originally reported on the Morning Bun blog written by Drew Dara Abrams of the Alameda Transportation Commission, the city was considering new vehicles for the police department. In the proposal, 17 hybrid Ford Interceptors, the police-modified version of the Ford Explorer that replaced the Crown Victoria. It wasn't the Interceptors that raised eyebrows, though. It was the inclusion of 2 electric SUVs, Tesla Model Ys. Despite being California's top-selling car for 4 straight years, there was substantial public backlash due to ongoing controversies surrounding Elon Musk. City Council promptly pulled the item from the agenda, with Mayor Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft asking staff to, quote, "research other vehicle choices," end quote, before resubmitting. There are multiple police SUV choices these days, from Ford Mustang Mach-E's to Rivians. The Post also reached out to council members for their thoughts on the proposal. Tracy Jensen emailed the Post and said in a statement that she was against the purchase because of Tesla's history of workplace racial discrimination and deceptive marketing practices. For now, the police vehicle item is off the agenda. Gene Chen has the story at alamedapost.com/news. Still plenty left on that agenda for Tuesday's council meeting. Council will receive an informational presentation on Alameda Police Department's data from Police Auditor Dr. Lee Grossman. Among the findings, traffic stops increased sharply, up by 89% in 2025. Staffing levels remain about 25% below authorized strength. Council will consider authorizing a 5-year agreement with Alameda Family Services to provide on-site therapeutic services at Dignity Village, emergency supportive housing, and the Day Center Safe Parking Program. Related, Council will consider authorizing a 5-year agreement with Ruby's Place to operate Alameda's emergency supportive housing program, as well as authorizing a 5-year agreement with Urban Alchemy to operate Alameda's Day Center and Safe Parking Program. That program will relocate to Alameda Point in the fall. In other business, Council will consider adopting and ratifying revised salary schedules for the city manager and city attorney to ensure compliance with California Public Employees Retirement System requirements. Full details on the agenda, including ways you can make your voice heard, in Karen Jensen's article at alamedapost.com/news. For a while, we've been reporting on the Oakland-Alameda Access Project and the potential effects that will be felt as Caltrans attempts to improve transportation safety, accessibility, and regional connectivity in Alameda and Oakland. Original reports were that the Webster Tube would need to be continuously reduced to 1 lane during the day. After examining feedback from the community, Caltrans was able to rework the construction schedule so that Webster will now be fully closed from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Sunday through Thursday. The first phase of construction is set to take place over 6 months in spring and summer of this year, with a start date of March 2nd. Plans for the Posey Tube still being finalized. Ken Durr has the full story along with schedules and diagrams at alamedapost.com/news. Back in episode 114 in August of 24, I reported on former Alameda Gators swim president Sarah Lynn New being charged with 3 counts of embezzlement to the tune of $50,000. She eventually pleaded no contest and paid $51,000 in restitution. Well, Nicholas Stellato, former rear commodore for the Ballina Bay Yacht Club, has now allegedly upped the ante in the ripping off local organizations department. Stellato, age 53, is facing charges of grand theft, making a false statement on a financial form, and money laundering after allegedly securing a $224,276.43 federal grant and then spending a significant amount on himself, according to a report in the East Bay Times. Stellato allegedly filed a Small Business Administration's Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant application during pandemic. The yacht club is a non-profit and shouldn't have been eligible for that grant. Authorities say Stellato transferred $175,000 of the grant money to his own internet services company that he had started during the pandemic. From there, he spent $82,674 on personal expenses, including the purchase of a Jeep. He is due in court for a preliminary hearing on February 27th, remains out of custody while the charges are pending. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Alameda Fire Department has released their 2025 total incident summary. In a Facebook post, AFD noted they responded to 10,074 total incidents. That's about 28 a day, the vast majority of those EMS calls, medical responses, accounting for 6,967 calls, or about 69%. The next biggest number, 1,385. Those were good intent calls, or calls where a concerned citizen believes there to be an emergency and calls the department in good faith, only to find out that there's actually nothing wrong. False alarms outnumbered fires, 657 to 211. Details on the AFD Facebook page. Alameda Police off to a busy start in January with a focus on impaired drivers. In January, APD made 24 impaired driving arrests, 6 of those from traffic collisions and 18 from observing unsafe roadway behaviors. Story at alamedapost.com/news. Usually, animal control is not needed at the scene of a collision, but officers Emily Crum and Elena Inesco recently went above and beyond when a blind pedestrian and her guide dog were struck by a vehicle backing out of a driveway. Fortunately, no injuries, but officers Crum and Inesco noted that the guide dog, apparently a male standard poodle, had not been properly groomed in some time and as a result had hair obstructing his vision. The owner shared that they'd been trying to get their dog groomed but were turned away due to a missing vaccine. Despite ongoing efforts, circumstances beyond their control made updating the vaccine difficult. Fortunately, the animal control officers connected with Pup Spa, a mobile dog grooming service, who donated the grooming services free of charge. After the haircut, officers Crum and Inesco were able to administer vaccines, and everyone was back in business. Story and before and after pooch pictures at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. Moving from fluff to feathers, in December, the annual Alameda Bird Count was conducted, part of a larger effort that involves a circle 15 miles in diameter centered in the Oakland Hills. 2 groups participated in the watch in Alameda, one on the main island, one on Bay Farm. The 17 members of the main island group divided into 6 groups, surveying 37 distinct regions. They identified 9,329 birds of 110 species, plus 1 hybrid. The most numerous bird, the bufflehead, a small black and white diving duck. 1,591 all told, with about 900 of them in a single flock on Ballina Bay. The rarest bird, a yellow-billed loon, found at Crab Cove. The Bay Farm teams found a remarkable 33 hooded mergansers, quite a high number for that diving duck. Doug Henderson and Rusty Scalf have the story with pictures by Rick Lewis at alamedapost.com/nature. No word as to whether the account included our 2 birds from Alameda. After we get through Friday the 13th, Valentine's Day weekend upon us, lots to cover, beginning with the 1-year anniversary of Two Marys Mercantile at 2021 Alaska Packer Place. Details on that celebration in Tiffany Southwick's article at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. The love letter mailboxes are back on the island. The bright red mailboxes contain love letters to read and blank cards to write your own. Take a letter, leave a letter. It's a great way to get into the spirit. Find them at 5 locations: Gibbons at Northwood, Pacific at Chestnut, St. Charles at Taylor, Linden between Hayton and Lincoln, and West Atlantic near Ferry Point. Amanda Laird has rounded up some great Valentine's weekend ideas in her weekly all-around Alameda column. From painting and sipping to swing dancing on the Hornet and more. Find the details at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. After Valentine's, don't forget Monday is President's Day. That means President's Week with no school. ARPD and Almanac Adventureland are among those offering week-long camps during the off-week. And Tuesday marks the start of the Lunar New Year with the once-every-60-year Year of the Firehorse, symbolizing energy, freedom, independence, speed, movement, and ambition. Don't forget, voting is open for the Alameda Stars. Vote for your Alameda favorites at alamedastars.com. Hope you can join me Sunday morning at 8 on KCSM HD2 for the latest episode of the Alameda Connection. My guests will be Elisa Rosera and John Brennan from the Alameda Warming Shelter. If you don't have an HD radio, you can stream the show from kcsm.org. Find the Alameda Post on all the social media platforms, now including TikTok. Subscribe to us on Apple News and sign up for our weekly news digest at alamedapost.com/email-digest. Get the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler, back next Friday with episode 192 of Alameda Postcast.